Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization main fan page, and you are watching. You are watching. Welcome to Star Nation's Communications from Home. This is a live stream show right here on Facebook. This is a show that I do weekly on Tuesday nights, and I've been doing this for quite a while now. So tonight is a kind of a how do I want to say this? It's a relaxed kind of evening show. I don't have another interview. I don't have a guest with me. So it's just me and you. And we're going to be talking about something that's pretty close and dear to my heart, and that is power animals and our allies. One of the things that I really like about doing this show on Tuesday nights is I get to work with a really cool app, and that is BeLive TV app. Our partners at BeLive, they're the ones that gave us the ability through their app to have these kind of live stream shows where we can show pictures, we can have other people on with us. When we're doing a regular live stream, that's not quite the case. And I do a regular live stream every morning at 10 a.m. Central. And when I first started, I'd kind of go, oh my gosh, I can't show this and I can't show that. But hey, that's just a regular live stream. And our time together during the live stream shows for Star Nation's radio network is when we use the BeLive app. And so you'll get to see some pictures tonight. Good evening, Carla Joe. I'm so glad to see you in the chat room. Thanks for coming. And also, Amy Daniels is here too. Hi, Amy. Thanks for showing up for this show too. Amy was with me this morning for the native live stream. Yeah. And the two kind of segue a little bit, kind of dovetail a little bit, because the card that showed up this morning was Shaman's Death. And the animal card, the medicine card that came with that one, was the dolphin. And so we spent a little time sharing about the dolphin and how the dolphin can help us face our shadow sides, right? And so this is, hello, Elise. Elise Miller's with us too. Look at this. We got Elise. Hi there. And I get to show your names now. And Amy. I'm so glad you guys are here. Before we dive in to what we're going to be talking about, if you wouldn't mind helping me with something, I'd appreciate it, is to share and like the show. And the comments certainly help too. We know for a fact that Facebook likes certain things. And, it's Facebook in itself is kind of an elusive creature to begin with. Just when you think, you understand it, it changes. Keeps us on our toes. But we know one thing for sure is that when we like and when we share, the shows end up in the news feed more often. And that's a good thing. As light workers, it's kind of like a community service, right? Is because for those people who may be searching for information, because you remember what that was like? We were looking everywhere where we could get information, right? So when we share, they'll be able to find us much easier. So I'd appreciate it. I'm going to do the same thing. We got my phone right here, and I'm going to find our show. And I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it. And I'm going to share it to my timeline. I've already shared it to the closed group for the radio. I did that earlier. So I'm going to do my timeline, my newsfeed, I guess. Live streaming. Right now. Please join me. And the hardest part of this whole thing is spelling and hitting the right letters on the small keyboard. There we go. Hit share, and there we go. It's off. So I appreciate it. Even if you just share it with one person, somebody that you know that might benefit from the information, benefit from the community. Yeah, just share it with that one person. That makes it all the difference. It really does. All right, and Stephanie is here too. Yay, Stephanie, good to have you with us. And Rob Kendall just popped in. Loved it and shared it. Yay. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. You're such a big help. Elise is saying evening, and she says, I wish I was there. Me too. Me too. Elise is coming to one of our classes. I believe it is the September class that she's arranging to attend. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that class too toward the last part of the show. We've got some information for you. But I really do want to dive into the power animal and allies. Because it's a topic that many people not just find fascinating, but it's the one piece that people are sometimes confused about, and they're looking for information to help them to discern certain things, right? And Stephanie's with us too. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us. In the work that I do, many times, in the old days, I'd get a lot of telephone client work, right? And helping people when they first start working their soul contract in a conscious way, when the concept of being spirit in a physical body really makes an impact for them, right? And so they're looking for so much help. And when we talk about spiritual team, for those in spirit who assist us, who are assigned to us to help us on our earth walk. So those are our angels and our guides and our teachers. It is the elementals. It is the animals, the power animals and the totems. They all, and many more, comprise our team that help us. That they're the ones that give us the synchronicities and the signs, right? About information. They're the ones who come to us in our dreams. And so when I first started doing client work, many times the question was, I don't know my power animals. I don't know who my totems are either, and how do I find my power animal? And so those are the kinds of things that we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah. Yeah, she's saying, hi, so I think you will like today's topic. I think so too. I do. And Elise is saying, I'd like to know what my spirit animal is. Feels like a turtle. Okay. So here's the thing, is that we all have totems and we all have power animals. And lots of times you might see them kind of grouped together when they're talking about spirit animals, okay? Just like us, our relatives who are the four-legged, those who fly, those who swim, those who crawl, right? They too are spirit. And the spirit, and when we talk about power animals and totems, they can come to us in the physical form. All right. Many times they come to us in their spirit form, and when they come to us, they're really. We want to look at their archetype, okay, and some people will recognize that word archetype, and some may not. The archetype is the characteristics, the overall characteristics of that particular species. Okay, so in their archetype, they're bringing, that's part of that is their medicine, what they're like in their species. And when you get down to individual animals, individual power animals and totems, in their spirit form, they can have an attitude. They can have a personality, just like we do. Okay. And when we get to know them, we can have those kind of conversations that you might even have with just a really close friend, because they're here to help us and they want the best for us. They really do. And many times they're the ones who keep us safe. Yeah. Okay. Stephanie is saying black bear or grizzly, that's mine, or a hippo. Yeah, and let's talk about, so how do you know what your totem is, right? And a totem is a birth totem is one of them. And a birth totem is like your guardian angel. Your birth totem will stay with you from the time that you come into the physical form until you leave your physical form, until you walk on. They're constant. Those are the ones that you have the most probably conversations with in a friendship kind of way, because they've known you your entire life. They probably know more about you sometimes than you do, because they were there when you came in, right? Your birth totem. And your birth totem is actually pretty easy to find. For those who don't know, there's lots of books out there. There's many different perspectives on identifying the birth totem. The one that I've used the most and seems to be the most accurate is a book by Kenneth Meadows, and it's called Earth Medicine. I think it's still in print. It's actually, do you think I used it much? All those tabs. Let me see what the copyright is on it. Copyright, 1996. It might be out of print. That was the last time it was reprinted. But I'm sure you could probably even pick it up in a used form too. Ken actually comes from England, I believe, and he works with the medicine wheel. And he has a whole listing of birth totems, and they seem pretty accurate. I've been working with them for quite a long time, and so you can look up your birth date. For instance, mine is in December, and mine happens to be December 6th, and so I'm in the northwestern part of the wheel. All right, and my birth totem is an owl. And I had already known that before I picked up his book. So that's how I discerned for me. I kind of already knew some information. And so when I saw that it was actually in his book, that felt right to me. And my element is fire. Go figure. Triple. So that's Kenneth Meadows, and so you can really look up your birth totem. There's probably some stuff online. I don't really know a website that's really good. So if there's somebody who has a resource that they go to on the website that's in the chat room, if you could please put that into the comment, that would really be helpful for those people who want to identify their birth totem. Okay. And so your birth totem stays with you the entire time, never leaves you, just like your guardian angel. Okay. And Rob saying, Crow has always been in my life since stepping onto the spiritual path as the red-winged blackbird. Okay. That's good. All right. And then a birth totem is dire wolf, male called Draco. You have your power animals and your totems, Carla Jo, have the interesting names. Because I remember your dragon too has a really interesting name. Elise is saying, silly, but when I was a kid, we had a Kool-Aid stand, free turtle for each drink. Not so popular with mothers. So, the thing is that when your totem, this is what I know about birth totems, is that you're so obsessed about them. You want to have their pictures, you want to have the statues, you want to have the books, you can't get enough of them. Those are totems. Yeah. And, and lots of times you'll actually go searching for it, right? You'll see something. A lot of people call it a collection, that they like to collect turtles or flamingos or something like that. And so, and they see them everywhere. That's your totem. The power animals are there to help us with something very specific. And sometimes they're with us for a long period of time. And other times they're with us for a short period of time, depending on what they're helping us with. So for instance, a power animal is one that will help you with your shamanic journeys, with your soul traveling. You may have more than one. You may have multiple power animals for that, depending on what your contract is, what your gifts are to use in the shamanic way. Okay. Sometimes the power animals are only with us to help us through a life lesson, to help us get through it. And once we make the graduation, that initiation, yay, we made it through. We learned our life lesson through all of our bodies, our mental, our physical, our emotional, and our spiritual bodies. And we've learned the life lesson. We've gained that wisdom. And the power animal that was assisting us with that, their job's done. And they move on to help another soul, right? Or maybe they go on vacation first, depending on how big of a job it was to help you. Because sometimes we give them a run for their money, don't we? Yeah. All right. Hey, Mado's here. Hello, Mado. I'm so glad you're here with us. And Stephanie is saying, Ben is deaf, and he gave Uncle French Fry, okay, my one plus my housemates, okay, a new sign name, Old Bear, last night. I thought that was cool. Oh, Old Bear. So it makes you wonder, huh? If Ben has a totem that is bear, or a power animal that's bear, and how can you tell the difference, right? It's one of the questions I always get. How can you tell the difference? Well, first of all, you can ask them. When you're in a dream with them, you can ask them to show up. Ask your birth totem to show up. Ask your newest totem to show up. Totems, we can gain another totem, not just our birth totem. We can gain a totem when let's say, we did the ceremony for the initiation from being an adolescent to an adult. You actually did a ceremony for that. In that initiation, when that ceremony is complete, you may actually receive another totem that's going to be with you for the rest of your adult life. So your birth totem and your adult totem will work together and work with you. That adult totem will never leave you either. Okay, so you can have more than one. If you never went through initiation, I don't know if you would get one or not. I don't have that kind of experience. I do know that I received my adult totem when my mom did the ceremony for me when I got my first period. So if you don't do the ceremony, you might not recognize that totem. Yeah, you might not. Then again, depending on when you woke up to your spiritual path, they may have come in to introduce themselves. That's what they're telling me. They'd come in to introduce themselves. So you can ask them, are you my totem or are you my power animal? And they'll let you know. If you douse, you can douse on it, and you can get your answer that way. Personally, I like to have a conversation with them. Now, the identifying a power animal, that usually is a very first shamanic journey. That's one of the first journeys that we do to help someone find or retrieve a power animal. And that's going to specifically help them with their shamanic journeys. And that power animal, that initial one, may be with you for a while. It depends on how quickly you learn how to do that travel. The power animals bring with them their characteristics, their traits, their medicine to add to yours. Okay. So, for instance, for those who have coyote medicine, the trickster medicine, yeah, that's a difficult one to walk with, because you never know, is that real or is that not? Is that, and you actually end up probably doing, it always reminds me of Wild E. Coyote, I know I'm dating myself, but the Roadrunner, right? It's similar to that. Those with coyote medicine as their power animal will sometimes end up, doing something that they're laughing at themselves about, right? By coyote medicine, that's been pretty strong medicine to carry, especially as a power animal. It's one that is, when you're traveling, is really a good one for Middle Earth kind of work, because of the deception stuff that happens in the Middle Earth, middle ground. The coyote can be very helpful in that way. So the power animal is one that will stay with you for a certain amount of time. When you no longer need them at a soul level, when you no longer need their medicine, they'll move on. And that's okay. That's okay. Because that means that a new power animal is going to come in to help you with the next part of your journey. And so that is identifying the next power animal, right? And so you can ask them to come to you in a dream. Now, when you ask, for them to come visit you in a dream so you can get to know them, it may happen that night, but it may happen in the next week or so. There's the earth, time, and space is not measured by them. So if you ask and they didn't appear and you're thinking, well, I asked and nobody came, give it some time. Give it a little flexibility in their appearance, okay? And they'll come to you. I'm for certain on that. They'll come to you, but it might not be in the time frame that you thought it should happen in. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope so, because the power animal is they're the ones that can help us with those times that are really, really challenging, right? For instance, we have power animals that are also our protectors, and our totems are also our protectors, and they work together. All right. They work together. And so, for instance, if you are traveling for work or something and you're by yourself and your hotel isn't exactly in the nicest place in the world, crime rate wise, you can call to them, ask them to put the protection up around your space. You can ask them to to guard the door. You can ask them to do those kinds of things with you and for you. When you're traveling in a shamanic way, you'll have a power animal that will always travel with you. You never go anywhere by yourself. Even if you think you're by yourself, you're never alone. You're never alone. In fact, but just before I started the show, I always call my team to me and to help me to share what needs to be shared in the best way possible. And when I called them in, and I asked the power animals to please come close, for my animal totems to please come close, for those who help me with public speaking to please come close, for those who help me with teaching spiritual information to please come close and to help me to share what needs to be shared. And if I were one of those people that found it difficult or challenging to do public speaking, I'd be asking one of my power animals to help me with courage and bravery. Yeah. The power animals are the ones that we can take on their characteristics. So if you have a bear, I'm going to bring up a picture here. Hang on. Let me get to it. Got to do one of these. I'm going to give him a solo. If you have a bear for your power animal and you want to feel what it's like to have them with you, is ask them to come close, to feel their energy and to feel their characteristic, to feel their strength. Bears are very protective. Bear Clan people are actually, they're also the peacemakers too. But when you're learning about your power animal or even your birth totem, there are books. There's books that you can read. One of my favorites, this is kind of faded, but Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. He walked on a few years ago, but he's got some good information about power animals and totems. But one of the best things you can do is to actually get some information about the actual species. Read about them. Go watch them. Even if it's in a zoo, that's okay. I know we don't like to see them behind bars. I always wanted to go and let the deer out. It's okay. Even if you go into like a rehab place, maybe there's some bears that can no longer be out in the wild anymore, and so they're given a home in a park of places, kind of like a convalescent place for them, and go and just sit and be with them, watch them, because they're watching you. Have a dialogue with them if you can. Find out about them. When you read about animal behavior, some of that behavior is that archetype. And so you want to know about their habitat. You want to know about their hunting territory. You want to know what their diet is like. You want to know, when do they have their babies? When do they mate? All of that is information to help you understand who and what your power animal or totem is. There are relatives, right? And so their characteristics that they bring to us, especially the power animals, they can actually be a part of you. You can take on their characteristics. Has anybody in the live chat, have you ever done to dance your power animal? That's a very shamanic thing to do, and it's usually done to a drum. But to take on the characteristics of your power animal, how they walk, how they growl. If it's a bird, how they might fly, you can kind of imitate them. in a way. But what you're doing is you're feeling their energy. You're feeling their spirit, their medicine. There's times when they will actually come in you. They'll meld with you. I had that happen one time in a class. I was at Great Lakes Retreat in Yvette, Michigan. I wasn't teaching. I was actually taking a class. And we were talking about totems and power animals. And one of my power animals was with me. It's a wolf. And he's actually pretty big. And people were seeing him. There was a class that I was teaching. I think that was the year that we taught Hogwarts, if I remember right. Anyway, people were seeing him, and I knew that he was, because they saw him walk in, and yeah, he's pretty big. And I saw him across the room in this class. Just the word power animal, and he was there, and he was directly across from me. And we were talking about how we take on their characteristics. They give us their medicine. And I was looking at him, and he comes running right at me, right? And I'm telling you, at shoulder level, his shoulder is probably right at my hip bone. So his head is like right here. And he's black. And he came running right at me in spirit. And when he took that leap, he leaped right inside of me. Yeah. Talk about a little disconcerting when you feel that energy kind of, when it comes into you. And I'm asking him to turn around and look out my eyes, because otherwise I can't see, and it felt like it. It probably wasn't true, but it felt like I couldn't see because I needed to look through his eyes and to see the world through his eyes and feel what it was like to have his spirit, his medicine, as close as possible. And I tell you what, it felt, now this is going to sound a little strange, but I felt the love that he had for me. And the willingness to help me. But I also felt that strength. And they're very community-based animals, and they live in family structure. And so I could feel that. I could feel the way that he feels about his wolf family, right? Yeah. So that was several years ago. Several years ago that happened. And I was pleasantly surprised by feeling him jump into me like that. But I requested it. I wanted to know, did I make that request that day? No, I made it some time ago, and the time was right in that particular class, and he did that. And so we were walking around together for most of that day. That was right after lunch. And so he was with me like that, probably a good part of that afternoon, until we went to supper. Yeah. Until we went to supper, and then he was gone. It just kind of fades. I didn't really feel, like he'd leap out of me. No, it was more of I noticed that, hey, I feel different. And I realized he wasn't there anymore. And so they walk with us all the time. And when you do that initial investigation, I call it, when you first, I want to identify who are my power animals, who are my totems, right? It can be a very frustrating time because you want to know now. But they'll come to you when the divine time is right. The divine time is right. Yeah. I'm going to check something. Um, Thinking that maybe I got the, oops, wanted to make sure that I see all your comments. Yeah, see, I knew it. That was missing. I don't know why they're not showing up in the BeLive app. Almost like it stopped. Okay. So let me see if I missed anything here. Hey, Jill Conrad's here. Hey, Jill. Carla Joe says, when Draco does this, I'm very aware of a scent. Having him as a totem, I'm sensitive to various scents. Yeah. And also, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. I also have two very large furry wolves with me on each side. Yep. Yeah, I actually have two of them as well. And Mato's saying, yes, they've done the dance, and they felt, I would imagine that you felt the energy coming together and feeling what it's like to be with them, to be them. And Carlos Joe says, I also consult Stephen Farmer Animal Spirit Guides. Yeah, that's another good one. And Motto, have that bear medicine and know why winter is a time in which I want to hibernate. Yes. See, knowing that we have their energy helps us to understand why certain things happen in our lives too. I'm going to give this one its solo. So a lot of people want to have bear and wolf and a jaguar and eagle and condor, you know. But sometimes our power animals are very small, like a dragonfly. And having dragonfly medicine with you is it's part of the magic. It's the in-between realms. It's they're very that's an elemental, right? The devas. And the dragonfly, even with the story that goes along with it, that how they got their name, that they were once a dragon, and they got tricked. I think Coyote might have been part of that one, but anyway, they got tricked, and so they lost their dragonness as a big medicine like that, and received this gift, which is to be able to go between worlds, to transverse the worlds, the dimensions. Yeah, and Carla Jo is saying, if you have a prey animal, check out those who prey on them for more insight. That's right. That's a good one, Carla Jo, because when you understand the cycle of the life cycle, right, that gives you insight into the ebbs and flows, right, and that also with their children too, their offspring is another good one. For instance, my birth totem is owl, right? But I also have a power animal that is a red-tailed hawk. And red-tailed hawk comes to me. I see him a lot when there's messages that they've been trying to get to me that I'm not paying attention to. And so in the physical form, he'll come to me. I'll see him in different trees if I'm driving. And then when I ask, when I tell him, thank you for coming to me, what's up? What kind of message do you have for me? And so he'll tell me what they've been trying to get me to notice. But the red-tailed hawk and the great horned owl, they share the hunting territory. The great horned owl hunts at night and the red-tailed hawk hunts during the day. And so they work together in protecting their hunting territory day and night. So yes, and so Carla Jo is absolutely right. You want to find out information about what their habitat is like, what their life cycle is like. Are they a apex predator? Meaning apex predator is like a grizzly bear, a wolf. Their only prey I mean, the only ones that prey on them when they're being hunted is man, is human. And so if they're an apex predator, you want to know about that too. You want to know, what is an apex? What does that mean? And you want to know when do they hunt? It's like the wolf hunts at the when you have the in between, before the early morning, twilight is when they hunt. So do lynx and bobcat. So you want to know those kinds of things about your power animal. Why? Is because it's part of their medicine. We can go to the books about the spiritual stuff, right? We can go to these people because they've done the research, and they've put it into book form for us, and that's good. That's all right. But I think it's much more important for you to get to know them personally. The books are good. They're a good bridge, transition place. But to be able to connect with your power animals and totems on a personal basis is much more powerful, much more deep and rich in your relationship with them. All right. And Crystal says, I love Animal Speak for years. I know. And he also has Nature Speak too, which is a book that has about trees and flowers and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's one of our go-to, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. We got to try to get caught up here. Motto is saying, love the dragonfly. It's an amazing energy, isn't it, though? I think so. The other day, I was telling the people on the morning live stream, we were talking about power animals, medicine. And I pulled into, because I broadcast from the academy now, and I pulled into the driveway, and I was getting out of my car, and I needed to bring some books and stuff in. And I got out of the car, and there was 4 dragonfly flying near the front garden. And so I'm watching them, right? And one of them flew right at me and was like hovering, like right in front of me. It's like, there's no way I could miss him. It's like right here. And I said, thank you for coming. I'm going to be talking about you guys today, and so basically the message there for me is that I need to do those meditations. I need to do those journeys, not just for client work and for other people, but also for myself. That's what that was about. And Crystal's saying hummingbird and dragonfly come to me as well. Yeah, and hummingbird, talk about getting to know your power animal, the sweetness of life. Yeah, and how fast they can fly. It's amazing. And how they build their homes. Where do they live? Where do they build their nests? If you have aquatic power animals or totems, what are their where do they live? Do they live in the ocean? Do they live in a stream? What's their habitat like? Is it, especially with the water, endangered? What do we do to learn from that? And is that something that we're meant to put our energy toward, is to help protect the water? I think so, but that's just me. It's my 2 cents. Carla Joe says, dragonflies are all over my land. Aren't you lucky? They are so pretty too. Jill is saying, somehow I've never been taught that totem and power animals are different. If you didn't already cover it, I'd like a brief explanation. I did, but I don't mind just kind of giving you a snapshot. A totem is a animal relative that comes to you at certain times of your life and will stay with you. They don't leave you. Power animals come to you to certain times of your life where you are learning lessons, gaining wisdom, learning how to use your gifts and your abilities. And they come to you to help you with that. And they're with us for a certain amount of time, the time it takes for us to learn that life lesson. So if we're one of those that like to procrastinate or not look or not learn the life lesson, they could be with us for a while, and they're with us so that we can draw on their medicine to help us through what could be a difficult time, right? And so we can take on their medicine. Their medicine flows through us and with us, both the power animal and the birth totem. So the birth totem and the totem that you might get later in your life are always with you. They never leave you. Whereas the power animal is with us for a certain event, a certain activity. And when we have accomplished that, they move on and we get a new power animal for the next piece that we're going to be learning about in mastering. So I hope that makes sense, Jill. Let me know if you need a little bit more. Mary Anderson Fry. I love saying her name, and she knows that. She's a good friend of mine down near Madison. She says, I've always associated red-tailed hawk with you. There's a good reason why. Rob is saying, only polar bears will predate a human. Yeah. And if you have polar bear as a power animal or as a totem, you are walking with some pretty ancient medicine. Same way with whale. If you have whale, that's ancient stuff, man. And the way that you can tap into that, there must be something within your soul contract where you have the ability to bring forward and to use that really ancient knowledge. Whales are record keepers, and Rob, the polar bear, they're ancient beings, right? And Crystal's saying, when the red-tailed hawk physically comes to me facing south, I always hear of someone close that's walked on. So they're the messenger for you, huh? Yeah. And Carla Joe, polar bear has no fear. Pfft, ain't that the truth? In my world, when you go in fearless, you go in with a lot of love. So does that mean that the polar bear brings with it a lot of love? If they're fearless, to me, in my world, that means that the love is in a greater quantity than any fear. And Mary's saying, Dragonfly announced to me the birth of our granddaughter. Oh, how sweet is that? Oh my gosh. And Dawn Beard's in the house. Hi, Dawn. And Crystal is saying, one day I had a hummingbird literally in my face telling me sternly, you need to listen more. Okay, so listen to what though? Listen to spirit. We call that thin ears, to listen with your thin ears. Yeah. And Rob is saying, when I walk in the country, I will have red-winged blackbirds come and greet me. Sometimes they'll even fly right over me. Okay, so red-wing. So I don't know, Rob, I feel like that's more like a power animal for you rather than a totem. Because if they're coming to you that close, and I don't know much about red-winged blackbird. I'd have to look that up or to sit with them for a while and see what that means. They have a distinctive call. I know that. And Jill is saying, thank you. You're very welcome, Jill. This year, crows have begun to do the same, though they don't get as close. Okay. Rob, have you been through any kind of initiation lately? Like within the last maybe 3 years or so? You know, where you've learned something pretty significant and or um, you know, you reached a certain place in your life that, like, you know, we would do the becoming of a man ceremony kind of thing. That's what it feels like. Okay, I think I got caught up. I don't know what happened to the Be Live thing. We're going to have to turn that in and let them know that something's not right with this. Okay, so oh really? Rob is saying that in European traditions, red wings represent Uriel, the archangel Uriel. Well, all right. Well, then you know the qualities of Uriel, and now you need to know the qualities of the blackbird, its species. Where does it live? How many eggs does it have? Do they mate for life? You know, the qualities, you want to know about the qualities, the archetype of it, the species. What medicine are you drawing on from the red-winged blackbird? Yeah, that's good stuff. See, I could talk about this stuff a long time. So it's 10 to 8. So how you find, if you don't know your power animal, you don't know a totem, look up your birth totem. There's lots of places that you can do that. If you need help with it, just send me a message. You can even put it on here. I'd like to know my birth totem, but I need the month that you were born in and the day. I don't need the year, just the month and the day. Or if you feel kind of funny about that, you can always PM me, okay? But you can ask them to come in your dream. I'm going to be having a class here. Let me see if I can get to it. That's how it works. Here it is. I'm having a class August 11th and 12th. August 11th and 12th. I think I told the morning people the wrong date. I said it was the first weekend. It's the second. August 11th and 12th. This is something that I promised the Star Nations Academy closed group in one of our mini shamanic journey classes. Because there were some people who said that they don't know their power animal, they've never done a journey, and they really would like to learn. And I was trying to help somebody find someone in Southern Indiana, and Julie Hedges goes, well, can't we come to you? Can't you do that? And I said, well, yeah, I can, but you guys would have to come to Toma because I'm still on a travel restriction called a 99-year-old. And so some people said that, yeah, they'd come up. All right, so I set the date. It is extremely affordable class because I know that those people who are coming here would need to do hotel stays and that kind of thing. Okay. A lot of good campgrounds if you guys are campers. But it's $20 for a day and a half. We're going to learn how to journey. We're going to do lower world, upper world, and we're going to talk about the middle world. But it's more important that we do those journeys where we're going to locate and retrieve power animals. Okay, that's the important piece. And so you can go to the website, starnations.org, go to the Academy page, and you'll see where you can register if you want to do that. Okay. And if you need any help with it, if you have any questions, you can just ask. Ask me and I'll help you. Wait, I'm going to go back one. Another class that's coming up is the Magic of Hogwarts. All right. I just need to check the comments. I have to use my phone to do that. So here we go. Rob is saying no formal initiation since Royal Arch Mason about 10 years ago. Okay. All right. Well, I just get the feeling that there's something was going on, that you reached some sort of shift or change that was pretty significant. And that's when the crows started coming in, I think. It was the crows. So Amy, I'll let you know. I'm going to type in, respond to you guys, okay, after the show, and let you know what your birth totems are. And Crystal said, I would love to know what my birth totem is, please. Okay, we can do that. Stephanie, yep. Amy says, I did. She says, you said August 11th and 12th this morning. Oh, phew. I think I said it to somebody else. I've had so many conversations today. I know I gave somebody the wrong date. So I'm glad it wasn't the morning people. Wow, how much would I love your class? I think you'd love it a lot, actually. We're going to be doing the shamanic journey, and once we retrieve the power animal, what we're going to do is we're going to dance. I'll drum for you guys, and we're going to dance our animal, and so you know what it feels like. Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty significant weekend, actually. I'm looking forward to it. And Carla Jo, Rob, how about your saging, the male equivalent of female croning? Oh, good question, Carla Jo. Good question. Because it just feels like there was something, Rob, something there. All right, so here is Magic of Hogwarts. And that is the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd. And Minnie and I are co-teaching this class here at Star Nations Academy in Atoma. And this is another class that she and I promised years ago. We taught a class together at Olivet at Great Lakes Retreat. It was Hogwarts 101. And we taught just the really, really basics of divination and that sort of thing. And we had a lot of people in that class. And they kept asking questions which was a little bit more advanced than what we were meant to teach, right? And so we had promised that we were going to teach the next piece, but we never got to it. And so when Minnie and I were talking about, oh yeah, we want to teach together again, and I said, well, let's do it through the academy. And so this is the class that we decided we're going to fulfill a promise. And this class is will have some basics in it, but what we're really focusing on is a really firm foundation of information, skill, so that you can build on. And if you have something, if you've been at this for a while and there's a piece that you're not real, you don't have a real good handle on it yet, maybe you're just missing some of the early information, the early way of, or another perspective to do that. So things like we're going to be doing dowsing, and we're going to do some shamanic work. Minnie is going to be doing forest therapy, but that's going to be connected to wand making. I'm going to be doing is using tile and watercolor. And what I'll do is tomorrow morning, I'll bring it with me. It's a tile that I did years ago when I was practicing how to do this. And I wanted to see one of my guides and one of my teachers. And so she came through on that tile, and I'll bring it up. And we're going to be doing one of those, okay? So it's going to be a very hands-on weekend. And if you can join us, that would be great. The cost on that is $99.75. 99 3/4. That's a mini thing. She came up with that. So very Hogwartish. Oh, wait, got to go the other direction. And we got another class coming up in October. This is October 5th through the 7th. And this is with Polly Jo LeBay. She's coming over from Massachusetts, and she is going to be teaching mystical Energy Healing 101, Mystical Energy Healing 101. That's a mouthful. And it is based on the heart chakra. That's why we have the heart chakra sign here, the mandala for it. And so those of us who may have blocks or barriers, emotional kind of heart issues, maybe past life, parallel life, this life, this is a good workshop to be able to work through those and to get the healing for that. She's also doing private sessions, private appointments on Friday, the day before, I think that's the 4th or the 5th, and that following Monday. And I think she's taking, I think it's 8 people. So if you would like to have an appointment, we kind of bundled it, the cost of it. It's $175 for the early bird and $222 for the full registration. But if you want a healing session with Polly Jo, we kind of bundled it so that if you're taking the class and she's giving you a price break on the healing session and with the bundling of it. If you just want the healing session, I think it's $125 if I remember right. So if you want more information about that, just go ahead and PM me and I can get you some information. And Terry Rule's in the house. Hello, Terry. So good to see you. And I'm going to ask, I'm going to write something to our partner that Be Live and saying, the live comment thing wasn't working tonight. Good. Well, power animals and allies. When you're working with your allies just means everybody else that's working with you for your spiritual journey here. That includes the crystals and the flower essences and the oils, and those are our allies when you put them all together. And your power animals, and especially your birth totems and the totems that are going to be with you, working with you in your adult life, they will help you with your other allies, your birth totem. They'll help you with that. And they'll help you identify who your teacher is, or to help you with the plant world. Your birth totems are kind of like our concierge in a way, because they're going to help you. They're going to say, oh, go here. This is the person that you're going to meet. You need to meet there. And you didn't hear that. We'll send you a message. They take care of us is what I'm trying to say. They take care of us. So with that, I think I'm at the top of the hour. It was so nice that you guys joined me tonight. I am Kimberly Wilson's with us too. Hi, Kim. Thank you for joining me. And we're going to be back next week for Star Nations Communications from Home. I'm working on the magazine right now, and so I haven't set up next week's live stream yet. When I do, I will let you know what the topic is and if I'm going to have a guest, who that guest is. In the meantime, tomorrow is the 4th of July. If you are one of those people who celebrate the 4th of July, have a great time. If you're not, and you have issues with post-traumatic stress disorder and fireworks, please know that there are 800 numbers, even local numbers, that you can call if you need help. Okay. And for those celebrating, have a good time. All right. And we'll see you next week for Communications from Home. If you want to join me tomorrow morning for the card draw information, that's at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 Eastern. So have a good rest of the evening, and we'll see you next week. Okay. Bama Mina, until we see each other again.